Welcome to the Editor's Note Comics Podcast.
I think that this world, it needs men that are willing to make the hard call.
Central Maine's best comics podcast, by default.
Ain't no thing like me except me.
Here are your hosts, Zach and Jared.
Maps come with me. No. When do we start?
Welcome back to the show. It's a day late, $1 short.
Oh, we're in the middle of Snowmageddon, January 2018.
Both of those things are very true.
Winter Storm Buford or something. I don't know.
Hey, do you know when people don't like going to retail outlets?
When it's nasty out?
Yeah, it turns out.
Yeah.
I was aware of that already, though. That wasn't a shocker to me.
No, yeah. Was it a slow day?
Yeah.
Were you by yourself with your thoughts most of the day?
I mean, I worked. I have projects.
Oh.
That's how my life goes. I've had people come in, they're like, oh man, you just get to hang out all day. That must be nice. I'm like, I don't think you know how businesses work. Like, I need to do things. They don't just do themselves.
Well, if you had an employee, they would.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's the other downside is I have to do like all the low-level jobs and the other stuff.
You're holding out for a management position, aren't you?
I just want to delegate. Like, you have to price all of the comics I don't care about.
So you're holding out for a management position.
Yeah, eventually it'd be nice.
Wow.
I don't know. Here we are. Back again.
It's lovely weather outside.
No, it's not. You're a liar.
It's not bad. It's just not nice. It's manageable. We live in Maine.
Yeah, well, we can live with it.
Yes. I just don't like when I'd rather it just snow. If it's going to snow, snow. If it's going to rain, rain. I don't like ice. I would rather it sleet than like freezing rain. Although sleet is just as miserable to snowblow as this mush was.
That's good. Thank God we're not doing like Batman and Robin, where you need to worry about all of the ice-related puns.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age.
That's 4 months from now. We'll get there.
The Ice Age is?
No, just Batman and Robin.
Oh, we're going to watch that?
In 4 months.
Oh, damn.
I have a schedule, man.
Wow.
I have it planned.
It's been a while since we watched a really bad movie.
Speaking of Batman, I guess there's some Batman news. What a terrible segue. We're going into the news.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
It's time for the news.
The Batman. Matt Reeves' The Batman. Maybe or maybe not starring Ben Affleck. Maybe starring someone else. Maybe the DC Extended Universe or Worlds of DC, as they want to be known, is alive and well or dead. I don't know.
The DCEU.
Supposedly that movie could start filming this year.
Really?
I mean, they say that it's mostly ready to go, but how hard do you have to try to screw up Batman?
Very.
At this point, I feel like it's a known commodity. You can just pick and choose good elements, unless you're Batman v Superman and you pick and choose the worst elements of a thing.
Yeah, you gotta screw that up.
This movie shouldn't be that hard to kick off the ground.
It shouldn't, but...
Going from Affleck to writing and directing, to directing and co-writing with Jeff Johns, to being a producer, to maybe not being involved at all. Yay?
I don't really feel like...
Affleck's a good director. I got all faith in him in the world as being a director, but the way this whole process has gone, and he's gone to rehab once or twice during this process.
This is a not...
He had to go to In-N-Out Burger on the way to rehab.
I mean, you gotta have that, last greasy burger to break up whatever was in your stomach.
Nasty.
Dilute the toxins, as it were. This story's kind of a non-starter. Big whoop, they're gonna start filming.
Another Batman. We've had Batman movies.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's gonna be more of a story when we know who Batman is going to be. That's the story.
And this goes
until
back
then,
to
I don't really give a shit.
Batman v Superman versus like Justice League. I think Affleck is well cast when he's trying.
And he's got a good story.
I mean, in Batman v Superman, for as bad as that movie was, at least he tried. But during all of Justice League, and now knowing what we know, he was just drunk the whole time. And that's why, like, there was that not shirtless scene with Wonder Woman. He didn't care and he was drunk.
Yeah. I mean...
It's not libel if it's true.
No. It's slander when it's spoken.
Oh, we having a Spider-Man moment?
Yes. Well,
we're going to have another one of those. I mean, everyone's seen the episode title.
Yeah.
It's not a surprise.
But no, I mean, I'm just correcting you. It's true. It's not a Spider-Man moment. It's the truth. Print is libel. Spoken is slander.
Do you remember that moment?
From Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Good times. Other Bat-related news. Ruby Rose's Batwoman is going to have a pilot that's moving forward. She came up in this year's CW crossover. Haven't seen it. Said I would. I just didn't.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I want to point out I didn't know that just because of Spider-Man. I learned that in my media law class in college.
Yeah, you have a sports broadcasting background.
Yes.
You should. This is how you use your degree.
Damn right it is.
least you're using it.
I'm making more money doing this than I would have elsewhere.
You got mac and cheese.
That's right. I said I'm making more money doing this than I would have elsewhere.
You could do it.
I like what I do now.
I like Batwoman as a character. It's fine. Ruby Rose, I've barely seen in things. I know she's been in popular things, but just not things that I've seen, like Orange is the New Black or The Meg, or even this crossover that she was in. But I'm fine with her being a part of this. It's a lesbian character within Gotham City that's basically just doing the Batman stuff, kind of like how Supergirl within the show that they had versus, I haven't seen all the seasons, but what I saw was they were just taking popular Superman stories and adapting them. And if they do that with Batwoman, that's fine. And also, I have a dirty little secret online that I like to do.
Okay. Well.
I personally know some people who
do
not share my point of view, but who also like comics. And I get sick pleasure out of looking at their Twitter accounts just screaming at nothing. And the idea of Batwoman getting her own show. For people who scream about, like, SJW Supergirl, I can't wait to see what Batman gives me just for my own pure joy.
Has anyone ever called you a narcissist?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Just checking.
Tom King. We've probably spoken of him on the show before.
Name sounds familiar.
I don't think you've read anything of his yet.
No.
You probably will at some point. But there was a hit piece put out. Did Tom King really serve in the CIA? Did he actually serve our country? The answer is...
No?
Yes, you asshole.
Oh, okay, cool.
Not you. You're
Oh,
not
wow.
the asshole.
Wow.
The person who put out the piece and the people who questioned it. Don't question veteran services. Don't be that level of prick. He did put out proof. He then sent out tweets based on his wife's response of being concerned for his safety post 9/11 serving in Iraq. Don't question someone's service. Yes, there has been instances of people lying about such things in the past, but in general, if there's a veteran with a legitimate claim to their service, to hell with you. Conan style. Speaking it like to Crom.
To hell with you.
Yes. So that's the thing. The Long Halloween. Did we read that? Did we just read one of them?
I think we read one of them, yes.
I can't remember if we read one issue or if we did the whole 13 parts.
I don't think we did. I would remember something that was 13 parts. Maybe we did. I can't remember.
Neither can I. But The Long Halloween, one of the most popular Batman stories of all time by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, is going to be developed as an animated movie.
Ooh.
Go for it. It's
nice.
One of the best ones. I generally like Batman animated movies.
Will we get some Conroy?
Who knows? I mean, a lot of the DC animated, direct-to-video movies, some of them are crap. Not that I've seen every single one of them. I can't speak to it. Under the Red Hood is pretty good. The ones that were bad that I saw, I've already forgotten about. Dark Knight Returns, that's a great one. One of my all-time favorite Batman movies was a direct-to-video one. And this, Dark Knight Returns, is going to be in 2 parts. Why not do it? I like it. Dark Knight Returns has Peter Weller. It's RoboCop.
Oh, yeah. I have no problem with it.
He's really good.
Let's go for it. Chop, chop.
Maybe we'll do Dark Knight Returns at some point. It's a good movie. When that came out on Blu-ray, I just watched it on repeat for 3 consecutive weeks.
Wow.
It's a good movie. I liked it a lot.
I guess. So that thing that you say that you usually don't watch movies repeatedly is untrue in that stance.
I watch every movie that I own repeatedly.
Yeah. I pick them up. If they're on TV, I can start a movie midway through.
You do that. I can't do that.
Well, it's only if it's a movie I've seen before.
I gotta sit back to front I gotta experience this.
To each their own. I mean, there are movies that if I'm scrolling through the TV and they're on, I don't care where it is. I'll pick it up and I'll watch it.
Hey, here's a thing that you like. Harry Potter.
Yes, I do like Harry Potter.
One of the weird things about
Is this the no toilet thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. It's a castle. They didn't have running water.
Here's the issue.
Okay.
So if you didn't see it, Harry Potter likes to put out facts about this universe.
Pottermore is what you're talking about.
Well, also...
Not Harry Potter himself. He's a fictional character.
Not just Pottermore, but J.K. Rowling. They like to put out a lot of post-facts about the world of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, well, this is part of it, which is weird because it's not part of the text.
And if you don't know, now you know.
But they put out that, did you know that Hogwarts, in the 1800s, didn't have plumbing, and that any resident of Hogwarts would just use a spell to make it disappear, and they would relieve themselves wherever they stood.
Oh.
Wherever they stood.
And knowing this half the battle, Zachary.
This has to be the first spell you teach someone, because otherwise, you're just shitting your pants.
Not necessarily. They could drop trow in a corner and do it.
Still not acceptable. This is insanity.
How do you think things worked in the 1800s when there was no running water, no plumbing?
I think that the Romans figured it out just fine.
They had the vomitorium, Zach. They had a place where they went to puke on purpose.
they had a way to dispose of waste in a normal way that didn't involve just doing it in your pants and then magicking it away.
They did not. Okay, so you're like, first of all, you're saying they did not just do it in their pants.
They said wherever they stood. That was the quote.
So it doesn't mean they just
wherever they stood. Captain Marvel had a special look or something. They didn't call it a trailer, but it was.
Yes.
I'm still on board.
Yeah. They got my money.
I don't have a lot to add. They didn't really add a lot to the plot of it. Nothing that we didn't already know. We know Jude Law's evil. We know Nick Fury has probably had his eye CG'd back in. Probably.
Why would it be CG'd in? Why would you have to CG his eye in?
Well, I guess they just didn't CG it out yet. Like in all the trailers, like Thor didn't have an eye in Ragnarok. Or he did have an eye and then it got cut out and all that stuff.
Or maybe he doesn't.
Or
maybe
Thanos didn't have all the Infinity Stones, but he just has that like scrape above his eye.
This is why I can't watch movies or trailers with you, because you're just nitpicky.
He definitely doesn't have an eye, or probably doesn't have an eye.
Oh, probably near the end of the movie he loses his eye, but I'm sure for a big stretch of the movie he does have an eye.
Whatever. I mean, it still looks good. It looks great. I want to see this movie. Get ready for upcoming in February-ish to March-ish. Captain Marvel, 4 weeks in a row. We're getting ready. We're going to know everything you need to know about Captain Marvel. Come back for that.
They'll come back for next week, too.
Yeah. I know what we're doing next week, because I already prepped for it.
You have a schedule.
Hey, do you remember the X-Men wedding of the century?
No.
Happened last year? Or it didn't happen.
Uh-oh. Alternate universe?
No.
Oh.
Kitty proposed to Colossus. They were going to get married.
Did she call it off?
And then at the last second, when he was going to put the ring on, she phased out and the wedding was called off. But do you know what? Those are spoilers. The original plan was that they were going to get married, but every year Marvel has a retreat and everyone kind of goes over stories. And Donny Cates, guy we've talked about before, as they were about to move on, he's like, hey, what if they didn't? Wouldn't that be a thing? That'd throw a wrench in everything. And then they changed their plans. Cates, you son of a bitch, that's what I wanted most in this world, for them to tie the knot.
Oh, there you go.
But,
he took it away from you.
Don't give people what they want, because if you do, then stories get boring. So, probably for the best.
I mean, sure, why not let them get married?
Oh, they're not.
Okay.
He got drunk. She became the leader of the X-Men.
Well, shucks. He done screwed up now.
That's about the size of it. I guess that's it for comics news, movie news, TV news. Did we talk about TV at all? We did Batwoman.
Yes.
From there, we're moving on to Jared's sports reports.
He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. Bare-chested. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. Oh, and they tackle him at the 40-yard line.
It's time for another Jared Sports Report.
Well, let's start talking about the Patriots. They're the number 2 seed. They're taking on the San Diego Superchargers in the divisional round of the AFC playoffs. Should be
What a terrible name for a team.
What?
Superchargers.
Well, that's right. They're the Los Angeles Superchargers now. Well, Los Angeles Chargers, not San Diego anymore, because they moved to Los Angeles. So they're the Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego.
Are they still super?
I don't know. That's a good question. There used to be a song.
Everyone has a song. There was a rap in the 80s.
There was a fight song. It's like, I can't find it.
Fight.
No, not quite like that. So the Patriots getting ready to host the Chargers on Sunday at 1 o'clock in Foxborough. It's supposed to be super cold, which
like 14 to -1, I think, is the
burr
range.
says I. So the Chargers are making another cross-country trip. They flew from Los Angeles all the way to Baltimore, back to Los Angeles, and they'll be flying back to New England to play again in the divisional round of the playoffs. Should be a good matchup. These two teams have met in the playoffs before, like 12 or so years ago, a long time ago.
Look, and I didn't watch an Eagles game, but boy, did I hear a lot about it.
Oh, yes. They got lucky. The Chicago Bears lost to the Eagles. Nick Foles is incredible.
Super Bowl defending champions, the Eagles.
Usually one of the two teams in the Super Bowl doesn't make it next year. I can't remember what year it was the last time that both participants in the previous year's Super Bowl made it to the divisional round. It's been a while.
And they're going up against the Saints this weekend, right?
They are going up against the Saints.
So they're
correct.
probably out.
It's possible, but not impossible. So
I think you're more positive than most people saying probable.
Yes.
Like your positivity.
Yes. I got to double check my number. If the Patriots win, it will be their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It'll be their 8th straight trip to the AFC Championship game, dating back to 2011, 2012 season.
It's a good run.
That's a very, very good run. So you've got that. The Celtics, they're doing well.
Picking up, yeah. Won their last 3 home games. Or maybe 4, depending on when this comes out. Let's say 4. Let's say they beat the Pacers.
Yeah, well, they're up 10 right now, but it's early in the game yet. And the Boston Bruins, they're doing pretty well as well. Haven't had a chance to really report on the Bruins.
Me either. Haven't watched a game. I don't really know any hockey fans.
Well, they're third in the Atlantic Division, and they've won their last 2. And they play this week. They play the Capitals, the defending Stanley Cup champions.
Is that it?
That's really it for sports reports.
Football's picking up. Basketball is in the
and
halfway point.
Clemson won the national championship over Alabama in a rout, an absolute rout. I like Clemson. I like their coach, Dabo Swinney. So.
And hey, if you want to vote for the NBA All-Star game, you can do that right now.
When do you shill for the NBA? They don't pay you.
It's a fan-based vote.
It's partially fan-based. It's not all fan-based.
I vote on multiple devices a day.
That's called a problem. You only vote for Celtics players?
No.
I mean, good for you that you're partaking in a system designed to help give the fans some voice, but I mean...
I vote fairly. I vote for a few of the Celtics, but I vote around.
That's it for sports reports.
From there, we're moving on to a segment that's quickly becoming one of my favorites.
It's only the second time we've done it.
I know, but I enjoy doing it.
Okay.
I don't know if it has a name yet. It could just be called Zach reads a shitty script and saves you the trouble.
Because a lot of people are going out of their way to read scripts.
That's the thing. I don't think people are. So here we are. It's time for I guess for right now, just to call it My Reading Corner.
For if knowledge is power, then a god am.
It's time to get an editor's education.
A few months back, we did James Cameron's Spider-Man, his first draft. That was terrible. There was a weird bondage scene on top of the George Washington Bridge. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
The spider dance.
Yeah. Something about like the female prepares herself to be taken or something. I don't remember. It was terrible.
It was not good.
Well, that movie never happened. Kind of wish it did because it was so awful. But it turns out there was a second and third draft of that Spider-Man movie. Do you want to know what they kept from it?
The spider dance?
Literally nothing.
All right, tell me more.
Not a single damn thing. To be fair, this is going off of the third draft of James Cameron's Spider-Man movie. The first one was hilarious for just how off the wall insane it was. And I wish that movie existed in real life, like in some alternate universe we could see it. To be fair, this one isn't as interesting.
Okay.
But knowing what we know about Sony Spider-Man movies, I still think an interesting take on Spider-Man. Version 3, rewritten by James Cameron.
Okay.
We start off with a light and a sound that is, in quotes, assaulting our ears and stabbing our eyes.
I feel like this
terrible
review,
start to a movie.
Yeah.
That's what it
already doing that
says.
to me.
If that's what you start with, assaulting our ears and stabbing our eyes, I don't want to watch this movie.
Nope.
It's a bad start to a movie.
You lost me immediately.
We see Dr. Octavius in his lab. He's a professor at New York Empire University, which is the school that Peter went to in the comics, so that's nice.
Nice pull.
Tie-in. Hey, and you know how every time there's some kind of evil scientist, they always have this kind of little wiener sidekick character that does all their stuff for them?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this one's name is Wiener.
Huh. Okay.
Didn't even try.
Good for them.
So Doc Ock and Wiener are experimenting in his lab on some kind of device.
He's not a loser. He's a wiener.
And hey, do you know how every good villain really needs a catchphrase, something that will be memorable, something you'll go back to all the time, be like, hey, that was a thing they said.
The power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
Something like that. Or, you are my, or no, I am your father, or Scar, throw Mufasa, long live the king, or something you'll remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Doc Ock says, okie dokie, I didn't count, but it's at least 120 times. Okie dokie. That's his catchphrase.
Really strikes terror into my heart.
So they're doing an experiment, and we cut away. We see that Peter Parker, he's a senior in college, so we're getting away from that high school stuff. A lot of people like the high school angle.
Is he doing okie dokie?
He's not doing great.
So things are not hunky-dory for him.
Because he sees his friend Harry. Harry's in this, and we see that Peter is trying to flirt with Liz Allen. She was in the last movie, Spider-Man Homecoming, so that's nice. But while he's trying to flirt with her, Flash Thompson, who in the last draft we read of this was the worst,
Yes.
Comes up, smacks her on the ass, and takes her away. A gentleman and a scholar.
Okie dokie.
Oh, damn it. I wish I hadn't said that now. But that's part of what it is. Later on, the four of them are in Doc Ock's class because he's their professor.
Wait, Flash Thompson's in this class?
Yeah, I mean, he goes to school. He has football scholarships and stuff.
So what's he doing in Octavius's class?
Well, they're waiting for...
Not saying that he's incapable of being smart. It just wasn't ever portrayed that way.
No, he's usually an idiot. Sometimes he's Venom. But they're waiting for Doc Ock to get to class while he is downstairs experimenting with 4 mechanical arms that he calls Waldos. Never heard them called that before.
What was James Cameron smoking when he wrote this? And or drinking?
Waldos, apparently.
Is that a thing?
Not that I'm aware
Are
of.
those like Molly's?
I don't know what a Molly is.
Do you know where they are? Can you tell me where they are? Where are the Waldos, Zach? Where's Waldo?
His experiment blows up. Peter and Flash are able to save Liz from a fire. And then he just comes upstairs.
What about Harry?
Harry didn't do anything. And then he's just like, all right, class has begun. Like, things were levitating off of the ground. There was an explosion. He just saunters and he's like, class has begun, children.
You know, I actually would be curious as to what was going on in class that day if that's how it started.
Well, it turns out he's experimenting with gravity and trying to punch a hole into another dimension, a la Into the Spider-Verse.
Interesting.
He never gets to another dimension, so don't worry about it.
Oh, well, I wasn't, but...
Well, class ends. It turns out that Peter has been working on a paper about...
Worst class ever.
Like, interdimensional travel and stars and things, and he wants to get it. But they go out into the hall to meet Liz's roommate, Kim. You know that popular Spider-Man character, Kim?
Oh, yeah, I read all about her.
We've heard about Kim so many times. She does a lot.
I hear she's okie dokie.
Oh, if you want to hear about what she is...
Oh, yes, please.
She's Liz's roommate. She does literally nothing in this movie, but is described in quotes as a ripe one and hot, hot, hot.
Like a tamale?
Hot, hot, hot. A ripe, hot, hot, hot one.
What's the name of that song? Isn't it like a song like hot, hot, hot?
Yes.
There
I can't
it
think of
is.
it either, but yeah. And she likes to flirt with everyone, and she like has a big salamander she likes to wrap around her neck. I'm like, what is she gonna be? Is she gonna be a thing? Turns out no. Kim does nothing. She's just a ripe one. But Doc Ock wants Peter's data on planetary alignment, and he refuses. While Peter's in the lab refusing this, Doc Ock is experimenting, and a spider gets into all of his raisin stuff.
I think I found the song. Arrow is the name of the band, but there's also Buster Poindexter with hot, hot, hot lyrics. I don't know.
Is that like Caribbean song or something?
Yeah, yes.
But Doc Ock tries to use his Waldos to kill the spider, and it sets off an explosion.
Some really amazing album art.
Yeah, for Arrow, yeah. And to be fair, this is easily my favorite part of the script.
Okay.
It's a legitimately good joke.
Okay.
Early in the movie, they established that Peter is working for the Daily Bugle. Jameson comes down.
Are your eyes and ears still assaulted?
Probably by this explosion. But Jameson comes down to New York Empire University. And he's like, Parker, you have to get into that explosion. He's like, I can't. He's like, I'll give you $100. He's like, I can't. He's like, do it for 100. He's like, okay, I'll do it for 100. He's like, all right, good. You're going in there for 50. He's like, you just said 100. He's like, all right, I'll give you 70. So Peter goes in, and one of Peter's friends goes, what is he doing? And Jameson goes, he's earning himself $50. To be fair, that was a pretty good joke.
That is pretty funny.
I love it. It's 100, 50, 70, and he's like, he's got himself $50.
He's earning himself $50.
So, of course, when he's in there, the spider bites him, and then he tries out his powers, and he's spotted by a man named Reese.
So wait, he's not Spider-Man yet in this movie?
No, he just got bitten. He got bitten in this lab experiment after Doc Ock tried to kill a spider with mechanical arms.
I know how it feels.
A man named Reese spots him, and he's like, hey, you got a lot of spider powers. I work at strip clubs and also wrestling, so you should do some wrestling.
Apparently so.
Not the stripping, though. Peter, excited by all this, calls Aunt May, and this is one of the worst scenes in the movie. Earlier in the movie, the two of them had been talking. It's like, man, I like this girl Liz, and she's like, a boy of your age should have a girlfriend. You should ask her out. And he's talking to her, and he's like, I was bitten by the spider in the bathroom, and Aunt May can't understand it. She's like, you did it with Liz in the bathroom? You should do it in your bedroom, Peter. Come on, that's where the sex happens. Sex her in the bedroom. He's like, what? No.
That is where the sex happens.
There was a spider, and it was poisonous, and then he hangs up, and he's like, I also got superpowers. I'm like, what the hell was that phone call?
It was super important, whatever it was.
You just admitted that you're Spider-Man to her. So good secret identity, I guess. And then, Spider-Man 2 style, Doc Ock is taken to a hospital where they try and remove the spider arms from him. It's not quite as murdery as what happens, but, still very similar to Spider-Man 2. There are going to be some similarities that we see carry over. But our man Reese brings Peter to
Reese.
He brings Peter to a wrestling match and just gives him a Spider-Man costume to go wrestle with. And of course,
just had one made up.
The announcer, Bruce Campbell style, gets his name wrong. But then Peter fights in a cage match and beats the guy. Does this sound familiar?
I've seen this before.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There are bits of this that carry over. Doc Ock still wants to get Peter's data on planetary alignment, and Wiener goes to Peter's apartment, but Spider-Man is in there. He's like,
oh, Wiener.
He's like, Peter doesn't live here anymore, and you can't have the data. And he just drops him out of a 3-story window. He doesn't die somehow.
He
So
just only breaks
good
his
for
legs.
Wiener. And then Doc Ock wants to go back and do his dimension punching device, and he goes to a bank to get the money to buy the parts. Hey, did we see that in Spider-Man 2?
Yes.
You had to think about it for a second. I'm just gonna start quizzing you, was that in the movie? But yeah, that weird thing where he goes to steal money from a bank to get funding versus just stealing the parts. Yeah, he does that in this movie too.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Of course it does.
And then in college, there's a masquerade ball.
Why not?
And Liz really wants to see Spider-Man. So
Well,
guess who shows up as Spider-Man?
Wiener.
Flash Thompson.
Damn it, Flash.
Also Peter.
Uh-oh. Spider-Man meme.
Yeah.
Point at each other.
And Spider-Man dances with Liz. And this is a quote from the script. They have the greatest dance number in film history.
Is it better than the original spider dance that they were going to do on top of the Brooklyn Bridge? I think not.
I was just thinking about the dance from Spider-Man 3. The greatest dance scene in film history, or the greatest dance number in film history.
Oh, I mean, it has to be, right?
No matter what, this movie is connected to everything. So they don't do anything, but Spider-Man leaves the dance. How does he leave the dance? How's he going to go back to his Aunt May and Uncle Ben's home?
Does he go swinging?
Would he swing? That seems rational, right? That's the thing that
seems
Spider-Man
like he
does.
would do, yeah.
Yeah, well, he takes a cab. He takes a cab there, and the cab
wow.
doesn't drive fast enough because Wiener goes to their home and he kills Uncle Ben.
Damn it, Wiener.
I know, right?
Poor Uncle Ben.
There's no time to really care about Uncle Ben. Literally, it's just not really focused on that much. Peter captures Wiener in a web. The cops get him. They move on from it very fast, never to be referenced again.
But, that makes no sense because, part of Spider-Man being Spider-Man is he felt guilt over his Uncle Ben's death.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was on his way there. He's like, I can feel something while he's in the cab. He's like, can you drive faster? I'm like, just swing, man. Side note, this is not the first, or I guess this is the first. This is not the last time they're going to be stuck in cars.
Oh, okay. That New York traffic is a real pain.
Yeah. Later on, Liz goes to Peter's apartment because he does not care about Uncle Ben's death to get a laptop back because it's the 90s and they have to share computers. And while she's there,
It's all about the Pentiums, baby.
Doc Ock shows up. He's like, aha, I'm going to kidnap you. And to her credit for being a damsel in distress, she takes one of the Waldos that are now attached to him. I don't think I mentioned that.
Oh, well.
And she shoves it in a light socket.
Oh, ooh, well, I mean, there are worse
electrocuting
things.
him, which they say should look like a cartoon.
Does it look like Daniel Stern from Home Alone when he grabs a thing and he electrocutes himself and turns into a skeleton?
Kind of like that, yeah. That's basically what they're going for.
Okay.
She tries to run away. She's kidnapped. Spider-Man shows up. There's a fight. He gets Liz, brings her back to the university, and then goes back to his apartment to find that Doc Ock has stolen all of his data.
I hate when I have my data stolen.
And then, Spider-Man Homecoming style, he gets Harry to be the man in the chair.
Data?
No.
Data. Oh, sorry.
No data here. Harry is the man in the chair and hacks into Doc Ock's stuff about dimension punching. And
wow.
Turns out it's going to end the world.
Punch you right in the dimension.
So Spider-Man has to go to Doc Ock to stop the end of the world, because that's what opening another dimension will do, apparently. And he has to save a crashed subway car. Sound familiar? Spider-Man 2?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where he finds out that Doc Ock needs plutonium. And the only way to get plutonium is in New Jersey. They just crap all over Jersey. The biggest plutonium dump in the country is in New Jersey.
Well, I mean, New Jersey is kind of a dump.
Apparently not that far away from New York, because they just drive there. So I guess it's in, Secaucus?
It could be or Trenton, maybe?
Trenton is a ways away.
Oh, well, you don't know that.
I do know that.
I guess you do know that.
I 100% know that.
Oh, what's maybe it's in the Meadowlands. Maybe it's at the at MetLife Stadium.
I like how you were like, you don't know where Trenton is. Yes, I do. I lived one town outside of Trenton. I know exactly where it is.
Were you there with the Hessians the night that they were drinking on Christmas?
No.
Oh. Did you not cross the Delaware River?
They're like, we need to go to New Jersey where the biggest toxic waste dumps are. So Spider-Man tries to catch Doc Ock, and he's driving a car, and wouldn't you know it, gets caught in traffic on the George Washington Bridge.
Why is this a shock to anybody? Especially depending on what time he left.
Because people are just driving cars in this movie. So Peter jumps onto another car and asks, and I want to throw this in quotes, the surprised Chinaman. Yeah, that's the right reaction.
God.
The 90s, ladies and gentlemen. To follow Doc Ock. The guy curses at him in Chinese, so instead he sees Flash Thompson's convertible. Coincidentally, just happens to be right there.
This is the man who brought us. This is the man who brought us Titanic. This is the man who brought us True Lies, Terminator, Avatar,
Terminator 2.
He brings
The
you.
Abyss. Yeah.
He brings you stereotypes.
It's real bad. Flash Thompson just happens to be there, so Spider-Man jumps on the convertible in between Flash and Liz, because maybe they're dating, maybe they're not. And they go to New Jersey. This is a really pointless scene. Doc Ock gets the plutonium he needs, takes Flash and Liz as captives, goes back to New York, where Peter has to get another car ride.
Does he surprise anybody else?
Oh my, there's so many car rides in this movie. They go back to his lab. He's going to punch a hole in a dimension. Spider-Man stops him. He kisses Liz.
Much to his surprise.
Also, I didn't mention this. There was a giant American flag in Doc Ock's lab. They blow up the entire lab. Doc Ock dies, and Peter and Liz parachute down.
Does everything turn out okie dokie?
Yes.
Okay.
And a giant American flag. And
As
that's
a parachute?
Yeah, the giant
Wow.
American flag's a parachute.
What, he couldn't swing down and like lower himself with his webbing?
No, he changed back into Peter so she wouldn't know he was Spider-Man, but then they make out while they're
lame.
parachuting down with a flag.
That's kind of interesting, actually.
And then she's like, I think this is the end of a beautiful friendship. And he ends it by going, nah. And that's the end of the movie.
Wow.
What a
fart in the wind this was.
Like a turd in the wind. Not as bad as the first draft we looked at.
No, but not any better.
I think it's worse because the first draft was terrible, but at least so bad I want to see it. This one just seems so generic, I don't care.
This one is just, I don't know.
I'm glad this movie didn't happen.
Me too.
It's interesting seeing parts that carried over into some of Raimi's stuff that was just like, hey, these were thoughts we had before. Maybe incorporate them.
It's just amazing how like someone like James Cameron, who's pretty good at action movies, totally whiffs on this thing.
Well,
more
even a
than
guy
once.
who's known for like strong female characters has someone who is a
ripe
ripe
one.
one and hot. You know those strong James Cameron females, the ripe ones.
I don't believe they exist.
It's not. This one's not as entertaining as the last one.
No.
But it is weird to see this progression, and I can also understand why eventually it was just like, no,
we're going to try a different creative mind.
You don't get to make this movie. You made something so terrible, it'd at least be fun to just...
Well, isn't it like there was a large part of it that like the success of those early Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies helped set the market for good superhero movies.
It's also, I mean, now that we've looked at like multiple drafts of this movie, there are elements of both drafts that made it into what we saw in the finished product.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird how progress happens. And those movies are pretty good.
Well, think about all the bad ideas that have to happen before a good one. Like all the different ways that Edison tried to make the light bulb work and it didn't work.
To be fair, I don't know the different ways he tried.
A lot.
I think one of them involves electrocuting himself.
It's possible. I mean, he was an inventor. He invented a lot of things. But it just goes to show that like it's a process. The creative process is long and arduous.
It's also
Like,
weird.
why you can't rush it.
Well, I think the constant note in here, I think Avi Arad, who's still working for Sony, who picked up the Spider-Man stuff, I think he was still the guy early on who still had the rights.
Yeah.
So I think he was probably the guy going, I like this element, incorporate this element.
That makes sense.
And to be fair, he's done some good stuff. He's also done some really terrible stuff.
I mean, again, I think when you're able to find some pieces that work, it's just getting them put in a better place than with something called Waldo's.
And I think he still has the rights to everything with Sony. So I think he was still on Into the Spider-Verse. I'd have to double check it, but I think he's still involved. So, I mean, he's still, Into the Spider-Verse is a great movie.
It's a wonderful movie.
I'm going to watch that when it comes out on Blu-ray.
Absolutely. It's fantastic.
It is an excellent movie.
I enjoyed it very much so.
This version of Spider-Man is really boring. The villain has no motivation. He's just like, evil science. Mah!
And bad catchphrase.
And Spider-Man didn't have sex with someone in a bathroom, but thank God his aunt suggested they have sex in a bed.
Well, that's where the sex happens.
Of course, that's the sex place.
That's the... I'm guessing that this would be a don't even bother. We're never going to red box this. It's don't even bother.
If this movie existed, it wouldn't be one worth watching because it just seems so generic.
Yes.
I 100% get why James Cameron did not get to make this movie. I don't even want to see this one. The last version I want to see.
That had a little something.
The weird spider dance with Mary Jane. I mean, Mary Jane's not even in this. Like, there's no carryover. There's Spider-Man's in it. Jameson is in it. Aunt May, Uncle Ben.
You'd probably need some Jameson in you to watch this.
Yeah. But those characters carry over. But there's literally, from that first draft we read, there's nothing else that carries over. And those are just mainstays. So it's not even, like, really anything. That first draft was so bad, they just trashed it entirely.
Yeah, I can see why.
I guess that's James Cameron's final draft of Spider-Man. So bland, nobody cared.
Thank God it didn't happen.
Maybe we'll continue this series of I read bad scripts. We're definitely doing at least one more.
Yeah.
I found another one.
Oh, good.
That's real bad.
I can't wait.
Do you think Batman v Superman was bad?
It wasn't good.
Well, I found a worse version. We're not doing that for a couple of months.
Thank God.
You just have to sit here.
It's true. I don't have to do any of the research.
They take a while to read, and they're not good. But now no one else has to read them either. So I guess from there, to hell with this. We're doing letters to the editors.
Lot of questions, number one. Damn few answers.
Here's another one of your letters to the editors.
Make it so.
You know how we don't have a political show?
We try not to.
Well, we've had a political question because some people, lunatics we'll call them, were very concerned about some people in Congress signing in on different books other than the Bible.
Yes, I saw this on the Twitter and I didn't answer it.
Because you're supposed to answer it here.
Yes, I did a good job of that.
3 years in, you're getting the hang of it.
You know.
So the question posed to us, if, God willing, we're elected to some kind of official office.
Yeah, we really pull a fast one on some people.
I think the quote was like, God forbid. But I'll say God willing.
I'm more on the God forbid side.
What book would you have to swear in on?
I would still use the Bible. I feel very traditional in that sense.
I know you could have said a joke answer, but you went with the real one.
Yeah, I went with the real answer. I'm not going to lie to the people. If they elected me, I need to be honest with them, Zach. Transparency.
In what world? Boring.
I know. Sorry.
I have many answers.
Okay, good, because my answer apparently sucked.
It was an honest one.
Yeah.
But in a fictitious world, you didn't run with it.
Okay.
I mean, what do you go with? Do you go with like some of the best comics of all time?
Gray's Sports Almanac.
I know. Do you go to the future? Do you know how to bet on things to get rich?
Yeah, I bet on myself.
In this world.
That's why I ran. I knew I was going to win.
What do you do? Do you like the best of all time? Do you do something like Dark Knight Returns?
No, I feel like that sends the wrong message.
Or do you go with something more traditional, like, well, maybe the thing that kicked it all off, like, do you do like an Action Comics number 1, 1938, I think?
Or would Superman, Truth, Justice, The American Way. I could get behind that.
Or do you go something, modern isn't the right word, but something a little more up to date, like do you do like a Fantastic Four number 1, the thing that kind of really kicked off the snowball effect of the superhero genre, the thing that kind of has created, I don't know. You could argue one for another. Like, is Superman the thing? But, the Superman through the Golden Age and Batman through the Golden Age, not thrilling stuff.
Maybe I get like a Strange Tales or something. How did we end up here?
Monster books. Or do you go through the Golden Age of comics of, like, Marvel? Or, when I say that, I mean to say the Marvel Age of Comics, not the Golden Age.
I would use Howard the Duck.
You could. Steve Gerber's stuff is a lot of fun. It's a weird satire of a duck who dates a woman, Beverly. You could do Howard the Duck. Could be a fun one.
I kind of enjoyed that movie, as I recall.
What a terrible movie!
It's not the worst thing we've ever watched on this show.
Or do I do a prose book? Do I do a Lord of the Rings, like modern mythology, or do I do a Dark Tower, something that kind of combines all different aspects of pop culture?
Why not 1984?
I already have Dark Knight Returns. It's a possibility.
The Hunger Games. May the odds be ever in your favor. What about Harry Potter and just run on a platform of...
I'll pass.
Yeah, okay.
It's not for me.
All right, there you go.
Or maybe I just do like Fantastic Four or Dark Knight Returns. But I tried to get real for a second.
I would use the Magic School Bus.
That's back. Is that a book?
It was a series of books, yeah.
Was it before it was a show?
Yes. It was based on the books.
I just remember the one where the kid ate a bunch of carrots and he was orange.
Oh my God. No, the Magic School Bus were a series of books. Maybe I'd do the dictionary.
I guess.
The Urban Dictionary. Ha! Got him.
You didn't.
I did.
I guess that's it. We lost listeners on this show 100%.
We certainly did.
Could say at least 30.
Oh, well, it's new year, new us.
I'm going to say 30 to 300 we lost.
Wow. That's a wide range.
Yeah, why not? If you like what you hear,
go to patreon.com/editorsnotecomics and feed us $1 a month to get the show a whole day early, and you get some other exclusive Patreon content from Zach. How exciting is that?
At least 2 extra podcasts a month.
Yeah, at least 2 extra podcasts a month. No Buffy back issue bin news, but you still get new releases of Firefly reviews, spoiler and spoiler free.
Yeah, that'll be next week because Firefly number 3 comes out.
And if you want to go to the store, 210 Water Street in Hollowell, you can also find the store online, editorsnotecomics.com. Plus on all of the social medias, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook.
Not Snapchat.
Setting up a Snapchat for the store.
Please
rogue
don't.
Snapchat. Watch me.
No one follows that.
At Editors Note, I'll make a little Bitmoji and it'll be great.
Is it my logo?
It would be someone wearing a logo of your shirt.
Okay, cool.
You won't even add me back on Snapchat.
I don't have a Snapchat.
You certainly do.
I shouldn't.
You did.
I shouldn't anymore.
Oh.
When my wife went away to Japan, I had one.
Oh.
Because she sent me things of Japan.
No, I sent you one a while ago.
That should, if it's still there, let me know because I think it should be gone.
Oh. It was a text message that you had sent me, and I played the audio of it in my car. It was very vulgar.
Yeah.
I wish I had saved the audio.
Yeah.
It was not appropriate.
Yeah, makes sense.
It was something you would send.
Yeah.
It's crass and off color. Yeah, so that's the show this week.
And you're on Twitter.
At Junior Rich.
All right, and next week we'll be back for a classic.
What is it?
A Bat classic.
Ooh.
A 1989 classic.
I don't know.
There's only one. I guess there's more stuff that happened with Batman in 1989, but there was the biggest thing of 1989.
Is it one of the movies?
Tim Burton's Batman.
I like it.
We're going back. That's a thing. Come back. Bye.